あなたがマスター？はい、田辺ひかりなのです。私はキターニア、マスターの願いに応じ権限いたしました。
ティターニア、ヒカリンはマスターは病気なんだ。
治せる？
All right, my friends, we have a Nobody's Way Up hero finally being over. And yes, that is the fact, is finally we are done with this show. All 12 episodes have finished airing. We are finito. And here's the thing, you know, the last handful of episodes really sucked. And like, I held nothing back last week when I was talking about the crybaby bitch MC that is Kaito and everything that was going on. And just overall, you know, the show was just a lot of wasted potential. It didn't do a good job of really fleshing out the dungeon. It did a really good job of fleshing out just, you know, really good, like not even really good, just in general, you know, characters. It introduced villains that could be part of a bigger dungeon. It could be part of an ecosystem. In the OP, is the OP or the ED, you know, they showed off like towns and stuff that live in the dungeons, you know, kind of like Danmachi, to where like in the dungeon there's like ecosystems of people that live in certain floors of the dungeon and stuff. Like they kind of showed that off in the, I think it's the OP that they showed that off when Sylphie and Lucy are like all over Kaito and stuff in like some kind of village town or something like that. That didn't come to fruition. Haruka's dad being lost in floor 41 or something like that, you know, and where him and or his team or the search teams have happened to look for him or whatever and it got lost. Nothing of like that was really covered. Sure, at the end, you know, they kind of saved Hikari, you know, by, you know, anime plot, you know, they failed, but they won at the same time. And there was a big speech by Sylphie of like everything being drawn to you, Kaito, like everything will work out. And of course it did, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know what I mean? Just like, I was like, ugh, I don't care about it. And then like the Kaito and Haruka, you know, the sprinkle of a romance or whatever you want to call it, like just like, you know, very surface level stuff like that nothing panned out really there. You know, they showed a moment where they like blushed at each other on Christmas Day. Like, okay, nothing really happened there. All the girls, you know, Miku, Airi, Hikari, like them being in love with Kaito or whatever, like nothing came to fruition there. Randomly, his two buddies finally came into the dungeon, even though that they were failing. They're now with him up against a dragon at the end. Okay, that's stupid. Like nothing was fleshed out, and just like them finding some rainbow slime and of course, you know, a healer drops because, you know, whatever, like it's just all too generic. Like it feels like the dollar store version of like a light novel or something. Like this guy or girl, who's the author actually? Let me see if I can find out who the author is. My anime list doesn't actually cover it. Let's see. Light novel adaptation. Author's name is Elmick. No, that's the artist. The story is done by somebody named Kaito. I guess he goes by his character's name as well. So it looks like it's a dude. He's only created this as a light novel. So not much here, but it's kind of like this, you know, this person took inspiration, you know, from stories like Danmachi or like Fate or something like that, and kind of made up like the most generic version of it. Now I can't, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I can't hate on it. He got serialized. He got an anime. So, you know, congratulations. There must be something here. This could very well just be not the author's fault. This could be this studio. This is Studio Gecko that did this adaptation. That, you know, this studio could have just kind of failed, you know, failed him, you know, as kind of like adapting this into something. It's kind of really hard. Studio Gecko doesn't really have like a big, what do you call it? Like a big what do you call, like a library of anime that they done. They have done, you know, Retry Hero or whatever it was, like Retry Demon Lord or something like that, I think is what it's called. That one is actually a really, really good anime. I definitely suggest watching. So, you know, I mean, it could be one of those situations where, you know, the studio and the director and, you know, their staff just kind of failed this story, you know. But at the end of it, I would say this is like a rough one. This is like maybe a 5.5 out of 10 for me. Maybe 6 is if I was feeling really gracious. I would say on the scale of saying like, oh, the potential scale, 8 or 9. Like, I feel like they had really strong potential to tell a really cool dungeon story, really flesh out the dungeon, really flesh out on where a lot of these summons originate from, where are they getting summoned from, really fleshing out there being a demon lord. Lucy constantly references the devil or like a demon lord. Sylphie obviously represents like a higher power, like angels and Valkyries. So like, where do they come from? Different levels on the dungeons, where do they come from? It had a opportunity to pan out of just like other heroes or other people searching the dungeon. They tout it and they promote it, and it's extremely busy. But every time that they've explored the dungeon, there's nobody fucking around. So it makes no sense that like you're traveling and going through the dungeon alone. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like even right now when they were in level 1, you would assume that there's just teams and teams and teams of people passing them. Like it has to be really busy because they're able to pay out millions and billions of yen and won or whatever to these explorers. So it's like, okay, well, it's not sustainable if there's nobody going to the parks or nobody going to the dungeon and stuff. So like they had a really cool opportunity and they just really failed their viewers, their readers, their, you know, everybody. So yeah, at the end of it, you know, I would say this anime was a very much like 5.5 out of 10. Again, 6 if I'm feeling like in a really good, gracious mood. But the last episode was just an episode of anime. Like, of course that happened. Like, yeah, of course everything worked out kind of thing. But there was no conclusion truly to any of it. So yeah, that's how I feel, guys. You know, maybe you guys feel a little bit more passionate towards a more positive scenario. If that's the case, let me know in the comments below. But just thank you for being with me all season long. This was 12 episodes. Some of them were a little hard to get through, a little rough to watch. But hey, we got through it nonetheless. And I'll see you guys next season as we begin the fall season. Check out my videos coming out for that very soon. I'll have kind of like we'll run through everything that's coming out together, and I'll put out a 10 anime that you should watch as well. And I'll see you guys then. Peace out, my friends.